month's time, thereabouts, I'd be happy to sort of continue the status quo. And there was a debate whether we actually just postpone this until that time. But we can't, we have to follow our process, and we dealt with one already, and here we have two on the docket for today. So this is the process, and this is my position on that. Anyone else wishing to comment? So there is a motion to uphold the suspension and actually cancel the business license. I will call the question here. No comments. All those in favor? Councillors Picton, Martin, Sentes, Conan, Zawad. Those opposed, the mayor, and Councillor Saheed. So that is upheld. The next thing on the agenda is Green Essence. So it's the same process as we just went before. All of staff could report. And then the license holder can have some questions of staff, and council can ask, and the license holder will make a presentation. So Mr. Kunka.
Thank you, Bishop. Green Essence appeals suspension of business license and cancellation for business license. Staff recommendation, number 1. The council received this report for the purpose of considering whether a suspension of the City of Penticton business license for the Green Essence, City of Penticton business license 14660, as set out in the June 30th, 2016 letter from the city's building permit manager should be upheld, and whether the business license for Green Essence at 409 Martin Street, Penticton, BC should be cancelled. And that the council provide Ms. Melissa Oslowy. Oslowy.
I knew you were going to get it wrong.
Sorry about that. Oslowy, owner and operator of other representative of the Green Essence, for opportunity to be heard in relation to this report and the recommendations contained in it. And number 2, that after providing Ms. Oslowy or other representative of the Green Essence with an opportunity to be heard by council consider whether the suspension of the City of Penticton business license for the Green Essence, City of Penticton business license 14660, was set out in the June 30th, 2016 letter from the city's building permit manager should be upheld, and whether the business license for Green Essence at 1409 Martin Street, Penticton, BC should be cancelled. A brief background: on June 2nd, 2016, Green Essence business license 14660, operated by Melissa Oslowy, was issued a City of Penticton business license to operate a business at 409 Martin Street. The business description in the business license is for the general merchandise store. On June 30th, 2016, a letter from the city's building permitting manager was delivered to Ms. Oslowy at the Green Essence located at 409 Martin Street, advising that the business license would be suspended indefinitely as of July 8, 2016, on the grounds that a recent investigation suggested the license, sale of marijuana, cannabis was taking place in the presence and legal activity that violated conditions of the business license under the city's business license bylaw. Ms. Oslowy was informed to stop the sale of cannabis products, which would lead to suspension of her license, and also advised her of the right to appeal the building permit manager's decision under Section 13 of the business license bylaw. Ms. Oslowy subsequently requested an appeal to council of the building permit manager's decision and continued the storefront sale of the cannabis products. In the report, there's a brief outline of the events leading to today, and highlighting August 4th, the site investigation confirms the cannabis products still being sold, and the bylaw enforcement officer notice was issued for conducting business with a valid business license as it was suspended. To date, there have been no direct complaints from surrounding business owners or residents. The business bylaw ensures that the businesses are operating in compliance with the city's zoning bylaw, conform to safety regulations for workers and patrons, that our operation of business does not come into nuisance surrounding businesses. It is also taken into effect with both required federal, provincial, and city authorities under the business license. Under the community charter, at Section 62, a business license may be suspended or canceled for reasonable cause. The City of Penticton business license, Before council considers suspending or canceling business license, council must give the license holder notices of proposed action and an opportunity to be heard under Community Charter 60-3. Community Charter authorized council to designate the authority to suspend a cancel license under Section 60-4, but in that case, the holder of the license is entitled to have council consider the matter under Section 60.5. The City of Penticton Business Bylaw provides all those provisions. Under federal legislation, Health Canada issues license to growers and distributors of marijuana under the Marijuana for Medical Purposes Regulations, the MMPR. Our understanding, Green Essence is not licensed in British Columbia to produce or sell medical marijuana. Neither the Marijuana for Medical Purposes Regulation nor Health Canada regulations authorize the sale of marijuana for medical purposes through a storefront operation. A dispensary business selling marijuana from a storefront operation contravenes the Controlled Substance Act. The sale of marijuana and related products at Green Essence is in violation of the Controlled Substance Act of Canada. The city does not issue business licenses for unlawful or criminal activities. Ms. Oslowy has provided an appeal of the previous suspension decision outlined in Attachment F. She has stated that federal legislation does not specifically disallow or regulate the sale of medical marijuana in storefront dispensaries. And this is interesting, the sale of medical marijuana and medical marijuana products in storefront dispensaries fall under the federal jurisdiction. City council and municipalities do not have the authority to enforce federal jurisdiction. Council may receive additional information from Ms. Oslowy in support of her position at the hearing. City staff reviewed Ms. Oslowy's grounds for appeal. The city's legal advisors can advise the council that, which is outlined in this report, and I'm going to highlight again a few of these. Purpose of the MMPR was transfer exclusive responsibility for production and distribution of marijuana to commercial producers and distributors licensed by the federal government. The MMPR continued in effect at this date of this report. And correction again, the Green Essence, not a licensed grower or distributor under the MMPR. And court decision has approved the unregulated sale of marijuana or cannabis products from the storefront operations such as the Green Essence business. Even if the MMPR are unconstitutional, the sale of marijuana and cannabis products at the Green Essence, and again, that's a correction, I apologize for that, to violate the Controlled Drugs and Substance Act. Both the business license bylaw and community charter provide council with the authority to suspend or cancel a license for reasonable cause. Reasonable cause has been interpreted in previous court decisions as including the presence of criminal activity in premises or negative impact of businesses, including the undesirable behavior of customers. Although there is evidence supporting the use of medical cannabis products and the possibility of changes to federal regulations, the fact remains that the storefront sale of cannabis products is an illegal activity and that there are no city zoning regulations or controls of the wholesale product purchase, storage, prescription, or sale from a storefront operation. Ms. Oslowy's continued sale of cannabis shows a disregard for city and federal regulations and should be taken into consideration in cancellation of the business license and potential further enforcement action. As outlined in the report, pros of canceling a business license, and again highlighting, the city will show that there is a consequence for non-compliance with city and particular bylaws. The city will show that it does not support the operation of an unlawful business activity. The cons for allowing the current business operation to continue, and again highlighting the disgruntled and discouraged business owners who choose to comply with city bylaws. Taking similar action against other business operating in violation of the city regulations become much more difficult. And this may encourage other marijuana dispensaries to open, which in turn could cause a nuisance to surrounding business or residents. In conclusion, is subject to council's consideration of all the information presented at the hearing, staff requests that council consider canceling the business license for Green Essence. Thank you.
Okay. So, Ms. Oslowy, if you have here's an opportunity if you want to ask staff a question relevant to what he just presented or what was in the report, you have that opportunity, or you can just present when you're ready to present. So. Okay, so just before you go up, council, do you have any questions for Mr. Kunta from what he said? Okay. Someone comes to the podium.
Hi. Very nervous, just so you all know. This is my husband Ryan, my business partner. Okay, first we'd like to thank the mayor and council for taking the time to listen to our appeal. I appreciate it immensely. I'd also like to thank everyone standing behind me, including my wonderful staff, for being here in support of Green Essence and our journey along the way. This can be a tough city to start a business in, but Green Essence Head Shop has been successfully operating in the same location for just about 4 years. From the first day of operation, we've had customers asking us to open a dispensary where they could buy their medicine. We resisted for years, but after seeing so many people in obvious pain and suffering, the commitment by the government to legalize cannabis, and having seen firsthand how beneficial medical cannabis is to those in need, we decided it was time to take action. I stand before you on behalf of the thousands of members who come to our store and have discovered the pain-relieving properties of cannabis. Cannabis has been used for thousands of years. It's one of the oldest, most natural forms of medicine used to treat a wide variety of conditions. Many people assume that marijuana was illegal through some kind of process involving scientific, medical, and government hearings, that it was to protect citizens from what was determined to be a dangerous drug. The actual story shows a much different picture. Those who voted on the legal fate of this plant never had the facts, but were dependent on information supplied by those who had a specific agenda to deceive lawmakers. The very first federal vote was based entirely on a documented lie on the floor of the Senate. The history of marijuana's criminalization is filled with racism, fear, protection of corporate profits, yellow journalism, ignorant, incompetent, and/or corrupt legislators, personal career advancement, and greed. For most of human history, marijuana has been legal. Its known uses go back further than 7,000 BC. In 1972, the Ledane Commission concluded that criminalization of cannabis had no specific basis and penalties for marijuana were grossly excessive. They recommended decriminalizing possession and drastically lessening charges for trafficking. A 2002 Senate study reported that they confirmed the Ledane Commission's conclusion and added that the criminalization of cannabis remains unjustified based on scientific data on the danger it poses. Yet the report was ignored by politicians. In the 44 years since Canadian police forces have recorded over 2 million marijuana-related violations, the Supreme Court of Canada has ruled that it is unconstitutional to deny Canadian citizens the right to access medical cannabis. And yet, contrary to that ruling, Canadians are still being denied their constitutional right to their medicine. By denying us a business license, thousands of our registered customers that desperately need their medicine will be forced back into the streets at the mercy of drug dealers and traffickers, which I'm sure is not what any of you want to see. I'd like to know what lawmakers are so afraid of when it comes to medical cannabis. What are the side effects of this medication? Patients feel better. It helps people manage chronic pain without addiction or death. We just lost Prince, one of the greatest American musical icons, due to prescription pill overdose. If his doctor had prescribed him cannabis instead, I believe he'd still be alive today. Green Essence does not just sell pot. This is an understatement made by many with narrow minds. Green Essence provides a sanitary, safe place for the people of Penticton to access medical cannabis in all shapes and forms. We have many people coming in daily, most being seniors, some of them actually in tears, asking if we're going to be shut down, because if this happens, they will have no reliable access to their medicine. The people love us here in Penticton. I've literally gone home with a 90-year-old woman who was referred to us to show her how to properly use a vaporizer with our product. She was tickled pink, and guess what? Her nausea went away within minutes. I just don't understand how it is okay to provide a safe injection site for people with serious drug addictions, but not allow us to provide a safe place for the community to access medical cannabis to better their lives. It's completely absurd. I believe the problem stems from the fact that you cannot place a patent on a plant, only a process used to develop a specific product from it. Even a slight variation to the patented process would not infringe upon the original patent holder's rights. This is why the large pharmaceutical companies do not develop cannabis products and why they're opposing it now. They stand to lose money in a big way. If and when cannabis is legalized and replaces many of their patented drugs, people mistakenly assume this is all about the money, thinking there are huge profits to be made with little effort. And while it may be true of the street-level dealers and traffickers, it is certainly not the case here. At this point, all profits generated by Green Essence have been invested back into the business. The following are just some of the many operating costs paid out by Green Essence that are not paid by street-level sellers. We rent our building, including property tax, school tax, and city sewer charges, city utilities, telephone, cable, internet, and advertising costs. We have installed Interact and credit card terminals, which comes with a percentage of sales costs. Bookkeeping, accounting, and reporting costs, liability insurance, above average wages and benefits to 10 full-time employees. Our new location has greatly increased the size of our store, along with the related operating costs. The bigger location has allowed us to upgrade and modernize equipment, fixtures, and supplies to make all of these healing remedies. The cannabis industry is huge. There are so many different forms of medical cannabis that can provide a natural relief for people's pains and suffering that it's mind-boggling. We are continuously expanding and growing our business in order to keep up with the demanding boom of medical cannabis. All the work and equipment that has gone into our expanded store has been sourced locally with the necessary permits and inspections, such as a point-of-sale system specifically built for our dispensary, video surveillance, security system, as well as a website. All work was completed by local independent businesses. This industry has little room for error, and we want a place where our customers and employees will be safe. So we had a local security company provide us with one of the best systems available. We are taking all the right steps to keep track of sales, inventory, and reporting functions. We have a bookkeeper for in-house accounting functions such as sales records, payroll, withholding taxes, etc. We have an accountant to reconcile our in-house accounting and complete all necessary reporting functions. When customers come into the store, they are required to show us their photo ID each and every time. We don't take chances on any underage activity. Given all the time and money invested in Green Essence, why on earth would we even consider risking it all just to make a sale to a minor? It's nonsense. Although there are no recognized training courses in Canada for the production of cannabis and its related products, my partner and I have traveled to lectures, conventions, and information seminars from Vancouver to Toronto, attempting to learn everything we can about our product and best practice for its production and dispensing. We have read and studied every written documentation and study we could get our hands on, in addition to the countless forms of information available on the internet. We now have 2 local doctors that have seen firsthand how their patients have benefited from our product, and they now refer their patients to us. That alone to me has made all of our hard work worth it. I'd like to clarify that we do not diagnose anyone that comes into our store. That is done by their doctor. They come to us with their diagnosis. Most know exactly what they need and can be very specific about it, just as they do at a local health supply store. Some customers will ask what we would recommend for certain health problems they may have. We never attempt to diagnose anyone. I was born and raised in Penticton. I do not have a criminal record of any kind. My business and life partner and I have made applications to Health Canada to become a licensed producer of cannabis. It has been over 2 years in the making, but we believe we are in the final stage of this very extensive, complicated, and expensive process. A criminal record check is also necessary for this part of the process. We are providing a necessary and essential service to thousands of local citizens. This service is deemed necessary by the courts, but governments are all dragging their feet for some unknown reason. I believe it is my constitutional right to provide that service to sick and suffering patients in Penticton in the absence of any action or support from our political leaders. I respectfully request this council assume a leadership role along with many other cities and municipalities in BC and other provinces in Canada. Please allow us to continue serving our clients until such time as you've completed your 60-day review and have your own specific regulations in place. If there are any interim requirements we would like to see implemented, we will definitely be receptive to that. We commit to completely implement and abide by your regulations and guidance. I have talked to Mayor Patricia Heinzman of Squamish, where they have recently set up dispensary regulations. She told me she would be happy to discuss with you what they are doing and why they took that approach. She is looking forward to your call and will provide you with any assistance she can. They currently have 2 dispensaries operating, but are open to more shops setting up. We simply want to operate our business in cooperation with the City of Penticton. The stress of the last few weeks has become almost unbearable, but I refuse to give up. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to appeal the closure of my shop. Thank you.
So, before council asks any questions, Mr. Conke, did you have any questions that came out of her presentation? Council, any questions? Sorry,
Bishop, sorry, I didn't, sorry. Ms. Oslowy, is your business, is it a for-profit or in a compassionate club setup?
It's for profit. But like I said, everything has went back into the business, trying to better for my clients.
And you'd mentioned that you are in the process of
Licensed producer, you bet.
And it has taken you 2 years to go through this
We're in the process, 2.5 years we've been waiting.
Which is quite a long time.
It's standard, everybody that has been waiting, really, there's a lot of them.
And one of your comments regarding the appeal process, that the sale of medical marijuana products to the storefront dispensary falls under federal jurisdiction. And again, you're going through the process of getting licensed for manufacturing.
You bet.
city council and municipalities do not have the authority to enforce federal jurisdiction. And how does city staff deal with this particular case before us that we're asked as staff members to move forward with creating regulations, yet we don't have regulations to go from because it's a federal jurisdiction?
I believe that you guys, as a municipality, have the right to do that. You guys can do this, and I think that you guys should get ahead of the game. You know, like we've been in this industry for 10 years. We're open to helping. We want to work with you. Like I said, I'm local as they come. I want to see the city do good. I grew up here. I have my family growing up here.
All questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Santos, did you have a question?
I did, thank you, Mayor Jacobite. I would just like to commend the presenter. I thought you did an outstanding job, very professional.
Thank you very much.
Very articulate, and it still is filled with such emotion. You make the point that in your opinion, or from what you've gathered, it's a federal jurisdiction, not municipal. So I'm curious, have you spoken with the Member of Parliament, Richard Cannings, about that perception?
I haven't, but I wouldn't be reluctant to do so.
Okay, I would be interested in how that would be perceived from his position representing the federal jurisdiction.
Councillor Sneed, did you have a question?
Not a question, just a comment from Councillor Santos. If you want, but based on what time we're done now, he's actually having a session happening right now
Okay.
at the library. And
I did
then
hear that.
we can do that, or I can just contact them through his website.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions for the presenter? Okay, so Mr. Konka, this is your last chance to do a sort of concluding summary, and then Melissa as well.
Through the chair, I don't have too much more to offer in conclusion. However, as an example regarding our use of a zoning bylaw, if somebody were, and again, I don't want to make light of this situation, if you were a registered and approved welder and you wanted to weld in your back garage and as a business, our zoning regulations don't permit that for this particular reason. Again, we have a federal regulation that says you can produce, only producers can produce and they can send it out, but there isn't anything set up for us to do that. Somebody would like to sell alcohol, there are very strict regulations and a very time-consuming regulations in place, and again, waiting on this, on city staff to move ahead with this is again to be very difficult. And again, I think we should all stop the clock and restart and move forward together. Once this is, we have a regulation in place that work hand in hand, our staff work hand in hand with all the proprietors, ensure there's a consistent and safe way of doing this. Again, I'm not sure how we're going to do it without federal regulations in place. But again, I think we have to deal with city regulations, and again, as it's not a permitted use to sell as a storefront or federal regulations, I believe our hands are tied at this particular point.
Thank you. Mr. Kuka, I wondered if you might, in the direction council has given you to come back with information, would you please contact the mayor in Squamish, as has been recommended? I think that could be a resource to provide more information to us and perhaps suggest a template which we might consider. Thank you.
Ms. Quinn, do you have a question too?
I wanted to ask the proponent, if that's okay, I'm skipping the, anyway, Ms. Oasia?
Oh, showy.
Oh, Showy, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
nobody gets it.
Ms. Showy. So one of the things we're grappling with is, through your worship, is setting up some regulations ourselves for the next few weeks. And what I was wondering is, and I think one of the most difficult things is, right now, for example, there's 3 shops within the block of each other or so in downtown Penticton, at least 3 that I know of. And if we were to allow the 3 shops to get business license, but then within the next few months, the federal government sets up rules that they have to be, let's say, a mile from each other. What you can see where we might have difficulty with setting up some regulations that might be overturned by the federal government within a year, within 6 months even. So how do you suggest that we, before you invest any more of your hard-earned money into your shop, how would you suggest that we handle that? Either of you comments would be great.
I think that should go over the seniority rule, whoever was there first.
Not only that, but I also have, the mayor of Squamish did present me with the bylaws. She sent them to me, and I do have them printed up here. I mean, you guys can go off of other cities, but again, we are Penticton. I believe that you guys should do what you feel.
Actually, I have looked at those bylaws
You
in
have.
Squamish too, and I believe they do have a.
I think it's 500 meters from within each other, and I think we're safe when it comes to that. I know there's a bunch of them on Westminster, but on Martin, I believe we're the only one there, so.
Anyone else for the proponent?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to let you know that I think you can sense where this issue will be going forward. But my request to you is that we have some great team members within the city staff. So work with us so that we can work with you, so that we can make
Yes,
this
please.
happen.
That's what I'd like to do as well.
So, this is your opportunity, although it's quite alluded to get here, to do a summary conclusion. Either one of
You
you.
know, I've already said my piece. I believe in what I do. I have passion for it. I'm not going anywhere. I mean, if you guys don't offer me the license, unfortunately, this is my passion. I'm gonna have to go elsewhere because I'm good at this. We've worked so hard for this, and there's other cities that are willing to accept us. So unfortunately, we will have to move forward with that. Again, all my supporters here, like I have a young lady here that took a day pass from her hospice house. She's sitting in the back here. Her name's Courtney, and you know what? Her alone has just changed my whole views. You know, this is why I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So council, direction on this, comments on this? Mr. Martin?
Thank you, Worship. I think in Ms. Oslowy's presentation, she highlighted the investment that she's made in the expenses and that sort of thing that she has to pay to be a legitimate business in Penticton, and I think that's all the more reason why we need to have some regulations in place so that they are all playing on a level playing field. So I'm going to make the staff recommendation to move this ahead, and let's get Mr. Kunka and the rest of staff get that report back to us immediately so we can get on with getting some rules in place.
So just to clarify that, is that the suspension be upheld and the business license Green Essence at 409 Martin Street should be canceled.
Correct.
All right, is there a seconder for that? Seconder.
Thank you, and I just asked Mr. Oslowy to give us 60 days before you decide to leave the community. I think there is a solution coming down the pipe, you just have to buy a little time with us. Thank you.
Anyone else commenting? Say my argument's the same, my position hasn't changed, and both presenters, I didn't have a chance to say that. I thought your presentations were very well articulated. And I think you're getting a sense of the conflict and the will of the group here of what we're trying to move towards. And working through bureaucracy isn't as simple as it sounds, or isn't as black and white as it should be or could be. But we are where we are through our process, and hopefully in September we have a bit more clarity of where we're going to, and the federal government gets a bit more clarity toward the end of the month, so we start touching our hand of what might be more acceptable or tolerable, and ourselves as other municipalities are also trying to grapple with this, come up with something that is a solution for our community that is best for everyone. So there is a motion on the table. There's no other comments. I will call it. All those, Councilor Watt. So all those in favor of suspension and cancellation? Councilors Picton, Martin, Sentes, Coleman, and Watt. Those opposed, Mayor and Councilor Keith. So that's in place. We'll deal with that. The last thing on the special meeting tonight is regarding the removal of trees in a licensed area. Same process, or I'll maybe give 30 seconds for the gallery to